Welcome everyone to my review of issue 4 of the DC Sonic crossover. And from here on out, spoilers for anything DC and Sonic related are in full effect. The previous issue had the Sonic crew stranded in the DC universe, thanks to their world supposedly going bye-bye due to Darkseid's dimensional engine destabilizing, and the Justice League sending them to safety. So the Six decide to take up the mantle of their supposed fallen friends to keep the DC universe safe. As they encounter an iconic DC villain, they were able to get a hold of 6 of the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Thanks to them, not only were the heroes able to discover that their world is intact, they're able to go back and help the Justice League. The big question from that issue is, how did the Emeralds end up in the DC universe in the first place? Believe it or not, we're about to get our answer. We begin on Sonic's world where issue 2 left off, only this time from the point of view of the Justice League. After they send the Sonic crew to the DC universe, the dimensional engine destabilizes. Green Lantern shields the League, while the Flash recovers the red Chaos Emerald, the one Shadow and Batman got from Steppenwolf in issue 2, and the former tried and failed to use against Darkseid. Shadow dropped it and couldn't get to it before the Sonic crew were sent to the DC universe. Cyborg plugs the emerald into his systems and opens a portal to the surface of Sonic's world. With the League safe for the moment, they assess the situation. Currently, the dimensional engine is destabilizing the planet, but the Ragnarok is containing most of the effects for the moment. The League are cut off from their world. However, Cyborg's discovered something. The only thing stable right now is the resonance between the Chaos Emeralds. This gives him an idea. However, they need to find the remaining emeralds. So that's the League's mission. In addition, they will keep Sonic's world safe. They owe it to the Sonic crew. And so, like the previous issue, we get a montage of each hero helping out in their own way. Our first stop is Water Palace, where Blaze the Cat, princess of another dimension, has found one of the Chaos Emeralds, the purple one to be precise, and is trying to hold off Darkseid's forces. Just because Darkseid's neutralized for the moment, doesn't mean his forces won't stop following his commands. In this case, find the other emeralds. These two in particular, Mad Harry and Stompa, are part of Darkseid's female Furies. We've already met one of them in issue 2 briefly. They're ready to take the emerald, but are wrangled in thanks to Wonder Woman and her lasso. After a brief introduction, Wonder Woman asks if Blaze is willing to part with the emerald. The Fire Cat agrees, once they've dealt with the remainder of Darkseid's forces. Darkseid's not the only one after the emeralds because, at our next stop, somewhere between Westopolis and Central City, yes, Sonic's world has a Central City as well, Metal Sonic has acquired the Grey Emerald. Yes, Grey Emerald. I mistook it for silver last time because of the coloring. Sorry, Matt Herms, if you're watching. Presumably he's hunting the emeralds on Dr. Eggman's behalf. However, Batman's in hot pursuit on his bike. He knows he cannot exactly win against the speedy robot in a direct fight. So he uses an aerial attack to distract Metal Sonic long enough for the Bat Cycle to ram into the robot. And thus another emerald is secured. The Flash arrives on the Lost Hex where he encounters another of Darkseid's elite, Baron Vermin. Not only has the Baron acquired the Yellow Emerald, but the locals of the Lost Hex, the Deadly Six, also known as the Zeti. That shell he's holding is their leash. It's called the Cacophonic Conch, and if one blows into it, it causes the Zeti great pain, enough to be subservient to the blower, as long as that blower has the shell. The Flash figures it out and steals both the emerald and the shell, and then bails because he has no time to play with the Deadly Six themselves. It's onward and upward as we head to the Egg Fleet. Dr. Eggman managed to escape the Ragnarok before things got too out of hand, and is trying to take advantage of the chaos to take over the world. As we'll see in a moment, he's even nabbed a Chaos Emerald. This all comes crashing down as Superman arrives and effortlessly tears the Egg Fleet to shreds. Eggman tries to utilize the Egg Emperor against the Man of Steel, to no avail. Reluctantly, Eggman tells Superman the location of the Blue Emerald, and thus the DC heroes score their 5th one. The final Chaos Emerald not in enemy hands is the green one, and it was found by the Wisps, alien creatures from the planet of the same name. Unfortunately, these innocent creatures are found by Granny Goodness, who I can tell you now is anything but good. Green Lantern arrives to help the Wisps. However, Granny Goodness knows the Green Lantern's weakness. Oh boy. The Wisps decide to help the Lantern by entering and supercharging his ring, allowing him to unleash an ultimate color blast on Granny Goodness. With her down, the Wisps hand over the emerald, and John tells them to go into hiding. The Justice League reconvene at Tails' lab, where Cyborg explains the plan. They're stuck in this dimension, but since the emerald in Darkseid's possession is tied to the dimensional engine, he'll use the connections the 7 emeralds have with each other to send the other 6 to the DC universe, with the hope the Sonic crew can use them to get back. Thing is, with the equipment available, Cyborg cannot pinpoint exactly where or when the 6 emeralds will end up in the DC universe. But the League once again is willing to put their faith in their friends. Once the emeralds are away, the League plan to keep the world safe for the time being. That won't be necessary as moments later, the Sonic League arrive home. Keep in mind that weeks have passed for the Sonic heroes, while hours to at least a day pass for the Justice League. And this is where the issue ends. Well, now we know how the 6 emeralds ended up in the DC universe. From what we can speculate based on this issue and the previous one, Cyborg sent the emeralds to the DC universe. They were able to sense one of the Sonic characters in the general area due to them being from the same universe, and we saw how that played out in the previous issue. It also shows that both Cyborg and Tails operate on the same wavelength. Heck, like Tails in the previous issue, Cyborg was left out of the emerald gathering montage. Unlike Tails though, we see the League get all 6 emeralds, and Cyborg's probably using the red emerald to begin testing his hypothesis at Tails' lab, while the other League members gather the remaining emeralds. You know what's interesting? The color of each emerald matched those of the hero who found it. Red and yellow for the Flash, gray for Batman, blue for Superman, and green for Green Lantern. The only exception is the purple emerald, as obviously it doesn't match Wonder Woman. But it does match another heroic princess that found it, Blaze the Cat, who sadly is the only other heroic Sonic character that's more than just a brief cameo. Yeah, we don't see the likes of Rouge the Bad or E123 Omega during this montage. At first, these scenarios the DC heroes find themselves in, and the characters they interacted with are odd, until I realized something. The Justice League are actually experiencing a microcosm of a previous Sonic game. Wonder Woman goes through Sonic Rush, complete with visiting a level from that game, i.e. Water Palace, and interacting with the character that made her debut there. Bonus points for the two of them being princesses from other worlds, visiting Sonics. Since the IDW Sonic comic series is roughly canon to the games, Blaze is on Sonic's world for an extended vacation. Batman's experiencing the Shadow the Hedgehog game, as 2 locations from that game are mentioned, and he's the dark, edgy hero on a motorcycle. Unlike Shadow, Batman doesn't use guns, and his opponent is an earthly robot rather than evil space aliens. Sonic Lost World was experienced by the Flash, a speedster who encountered a villain controlling the Deadly Six with a cacophonic conch, and like Sonic, he robs the villain of that advantage. Though in the Flash's case, he simply just takes it as opposed to kicking it away like Sonic. And as the Flash takes off, Zavok, the big red Zeddy, even compares him to Sonic. The Sonic Heroes experience, fittingly, goes to Superman, as he goes through the Egg Fleet and Egg Emperor boss effortlessly. It should be noted that in the actual Sonic Heroes game, it was not Eggman controlling the Egg Fleet, or piloting the Egg Emperor. It was an imposter, an upgraded form of Metal Sonic called Neo Metal Sonic, who took the role of the main villain for himself. This part also serves as payoff to the Flash's comment about Lex Luthor back in issue 2. Superman even tries this whole "when will you villains learn" speech that he's probably done hundreds of times on Lex Luthor on Eggman, and Eggman has no tolerance for it. Then again, Lex Luthor probably has no tolerance for it either. I'm amazed that Eggman used his usual "I hate that hedgehog" quote to account for Superman. Wait a minute, how did Eggman know Superman was Kryptonian? Was it during the ride on the egg carrier? I bet Superman's happy that Eggman never knew about kryptonite. Finally, Green Lantern experiences sonic colors. It makes sense for him since he's experienced space cores of different colors, including the previously mentioned Sinestro core, the Star Sapphires, and the Red Lanterns. Just like Sonic and Sonic Colors, John Stewart comes to the aid of a peaceful, colorful alien race that's under attack by a sinister villain. Color powers are involved, and the Wisps combine all their powers with the hero in order to perform the final ultimate attack.
Unlimited colors! Laser, drill, space, rocket, you, hammer, frenzy!
There is also a nod to the Nintendo DS version of Colors, with the mention of Mother Wisp. The confrontation being set in Mystic Jungle makes this a small nod to Sonic Forces, as that game allowed the average citizen to utilize Wisp powers through devices known as Wispins. Sonic Adventure gets a shout out, as the League meet up at Tails' Mystic Ruins lab. Finally, Sonic Unleashed gets a small nod, as the Flash decided to make a brief detour to Empire City to experience Skyscraper Scamper for himself. Explaining it to Batman later made the Dark Knight curious enough to check it out for himself. Something that I want to address that I couldn't anywhere else is that John Stewart still has his lantern ring, even though he gave Silver one prior to sending him to the DC universe. At first it seemed like a plot hole, until I read some posts on TV Tropes discussing this issue, and they brought up the idea of ring duplication. So I looked into it, and yes, that is one of the ring's abilities. Silver got a copy, and John kept the original. It'll probably be clarified in the next issue, but it would explain how Silver suddenly just got a Green Lantern ring out of nowhere. I'm happy the character caption boxes are still around, though I'm surprised ones aren't used for the Justice League and Darkseid. Though I suppose they're iconic enough that they don't really need caption boxes. Finally, I find it amusing that both Cyborg and Green Lantern utilize Chaos Emeralds in order to recharge their powers. It's a good thing John Stewart found the green emerald, am I right? Imagine if he found the yellow one. Overall, I think this issue is better paced compared to the previous one. It helps that the Justice League, and Sonic's world in general, are on a time limit, and the goals are simple: emerald gathering and world saving. The Sonic League returning minutes after the emeralds were sent to the DC universe really illustrates the screwy nature of space-time. Well, that, and there's only 5 issues in this miniseries. Gotta have all 12 heroes reunite for the final battle. So come back next time as we wrap up this crossover and see how the 2 leagues will win the day. And we'll also see if the reset button gets involved in some fashion. I'll see you all in the finale.